वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुस्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नमोऽस्तुते व्यासविशालबुद्धे हुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः। हरि ओम्। We'll spend a few minutes chanting Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Okay? Ready? We are seeing itihasa, a shastra called the Mahabarata. And the Mahabharata is the largest known piece of literature that exists today. It is so vast, it has 100,000 shlokas, that it is impossible for anybody to actually fully and deeply study the entire Mahabharata. And so what we are doing is we are seeing the main storyline over these 14 days. The Mahabharata is actually a canvas. Like you can imagine a vast canvas painting. And on this canvas painting of the Mahabharata, whatever has existed, whatever exists now, and whatever ever will exist has already been portrayed on this canvas, which is the Mahabharata. There's nothing that is not in the Mahabharata. And if it is not in the Mahabharata, then it means it cannot exist. That is what is described. It is described as. It is such a glorious text. People who are interested in politics and economics and warfare, there are details and there is intelligence about all of these things in Mahabharata. Those interested in psychology, it exposes us to the human mind, this Mahabharata Shastra. All the possible emotions and all of their consequences are portrayed through the characters of the Mahabharata. Those who are interested in history, well, this Mahabharata spans 7 generations of the great Kuru dynasty, so they can study it too. But one of the most special things about the Mahabharata is that it is a story that reinforces the power of faith in Bhagavan and the power of dharma. It reinforces the importance of choosing dharma, righteousness, over adharma. It reinforces the importance of choosing Bhagavan over any possible other seeming greatness in this world. It is an inspiration for us to choose dharma no matter what. Now, a few key things that we have been seeing over and over again in the past few days that comes in this Mahabharata is wherever there is dharma, there will be victory. True victory only comes where there is dharma. And wherever there is Krishna, that is where you know there is dharma. So anyone who is seeking victory in their life, the secret is to choose dharma. Against all odds, against time, against all possibilities, even when it seems impossible, still, when a person chooses dharma against everything, they will be victorious. Wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Bhagavan, there will definitely be victory. And today we will see how that plays out also in this Mahabharata. I'll tell you a little bit about where we've reached in the story and then we will continue. We are now seeing the Mahabharata war. Everything that came before the war was a build-up to show the reasons for the war. And it started like 3 generations ago. And we saw how the war began because there was no way that there was no other option for peace at this point. And a war was now going to be fought between 2 sets of family members, the Pandavas and the Kauravas. But they're not fighting for land. On paper they're fighting for land, but really it is a fight between goodness and wickedness, between dharma and adharma. And this Mahabharata battle this war starts by the great Arjuna. Everybody knows, there's no one I think who doesn't know Arjuna, the hero of the Bhagavad Gita. This war starts with him saying, I cannot fight my family. And Bhagavan Shri Krishna looks at him and says, why is it that you cannot do your duty? And he gives him the Bhagavad Gita at the start, just before the war starts, to teach him how he can get up and face his responsibility to protect dharma. And so now we have seen 13 days of the war. 13 days of this 18-day war have finished. And we saw yesterday how on the 10th day, the great Bhishma fell. Bhishma was the grand uncle of the Pandavas and the Kauravas. And he could choose his own time of death. And yet, he fell. With his blessings, the Pandavas were able to defeat him. At that time, he told Duryodhana, the head of the Kauravas, the wicked leader, he told him, it is still not too late. This Krishna and Arjuna, they're actually Narayana and Nara. You give up this enmity, end the war with my fall. But Duryodhana, he was hard ears, and so he did not listen. His father also was encouraged to stop him, but he did not listen. He's losing heart, but he refuses to stop fighting. Now day 11 comes around, and the chief of the army, the leader of the army is made, Duryodhana is made to be the commander-in-chief of the army. Duryodhana is the teacher who taught how to use who taught warfare to both sides, the Pandavas and to the Kauravas. But when he became commander-in-chief, this Dronacharya became drunk with power. You know how power gets to people's heads? As soon as somebody gets power, they lose sense of what is right and what is wrong, if they're not a dharmic person. And so this Drona suddenly gets this desire to please Duryodhana, the most wicked fellow that exists in the world. And he says, let me do something that will make you happy. And Duryodhana says, I want you to capture Yudhishthira, who is the king, the king on the other side, the leader of the Pandavas. And I want to play a game of dice, and I want to, by cheating, I want to send him back to the forest for 13 years. Well, for 2 days, Drona was not successful. And he was being taunted by Duryodhana. You said you would do this for me, you said you would do this for me, and you aren't doing it for me. It is because you love these Pandavas too much. And Drona, who was so insulted by Duryodhana, he said, tomorrow I'm going to make sure you're very happy with me. And on the 13th day, 6 great warriors, 6 of the greatest warriors on the Kaurava side, murdered a young boy called Abhimanyu. 16-year-old son of Arjuna was single-handedly murdered with all rules of law broken, alone on the battlefield. And with cries of victory, they sent a message to the Pandavas that yes, Abhimanyu is dead. Now the Pandavas were shattered. You can imagine how they would be shattered, because it is one thing to lose somebody in war. Everyone knows that when war comes, one side is going to be victorious, but both sides are going to lose people that they love. Everyone knows this. And Arjuna has already lost a son. Earlier, in one of the earlier days, one of his sons was killed. He was sad, but he understood it is part of war. However, when Abhimanyu is killed, because it is murder and it is not a fair fight, he gets very, very angry. Arjuna happened to be on another part of the battlefield because it was their plan to take him away and make him fight something else. And when he came back, this is where we pick up today. He was seeing all bad omens around. And he said to Bhagavan Krishna, who was his charioteer, that something is wrong. I don't feel good. I feel very unsettled. Let us go. I wonder if all my brothers are okay. And they rush to the tent of their brothers. And over there, there's pin drop silence. Everyone's faces are just glum. And Arjuna looks and he says, what happened? Why is everyone silent? Why is nobody looking at me? Why is nobody making eye contact with me? Why isn't anyone telling me what is going on? And he sees that all his brothers are there and they're fine. And then he realizes that his son Abhimanyu is not there. And he says, tell me, where is he? And he says, don't. And then Yudhishthira, his older brother, says, I killed Abhimanyu. Meaning it was his fault that Abhimanyu ended up being trapped by the Kauravas. And he felt so bad about what had happened. And Arjuna said, how could you do this? And Arjuna was so angry. And you know, when a person gets angry, they say things without thinking, right? And so Arjuna says things to Yudhishthira that really hurt. And then he says, no, you know what? Actually, Abhimanyu could not have been defeated like that. Abhimanyu was a glorious warrior. So glorious Abhimanyu was that if he was killed, there must have been some foul play involved. He said, tell me what happened. And they described to him how unrighteously this young child was murdered. And Bhagavan Krishna comforts Arjuna, and he tells him that you need to comfort your brothers. They're his child too. He means Abhimanyu is their child as well, right? And they're feeling very sad about his death too. And so Arjuna realizes, and he calms down. And when he calms down and he finds out how everything happened, he took an oath. He said, tomorrow, I swear, I am going to kill Jayadratha, the man who was responsible for Abhimanyu being left alone to fight with all of these Kauravas. He said, tomorrow I swear, I am going to kill him before sunset. And if I do not, I am going to go into the fire with my Gandiva bow. Me and my bow, which cannot kill him, are going to enter into the forest, and I'm going to give up my life if I cannot kill this Jayadratha tomorrow by sunset. Jayadratha was the brother-in-law of Duryodhana. He was very powerful. And the spies of the Kauravas found out that this was the plan, and they ran to tell Duryodhana. And when Jayadratha heard that Arjuna has vowed to kill him tomorrow, he got very scared. And he said, I want to go back to my kingdom. I want to run away. I don't want to be killed. I'm not ready to die. And like a coward, he wants to run away. And Duryodhana says, no, I promise I will protect you. You will be so protected that Arjuna will not be able to kill you. And because he will not be able to kill you, he will kill himself, and then we will win. Because without Arjuna, the Pandavas cannot win. And so Drona, the leader of their army, makes elaborate plans now on how this Jayadratha is going to be protected. They make a plan. Every day there were different formations of the army made such that it would be difficult to break the army. On this day, Drona decided that the army was going to be made with 3 formations that were impenetrable. 3 impenetrable formations, and in the middle of that, they were going to keep Jayadratha. So this was their plan. Now Bhagavan Shri Krishna looks at Arjuna, and he says, Arjuna, the oath that you took was not good. Bad plan. You didn't consult me. You didn't ask if you should do that. Now you have taken this oath, and it is very difficult to accomplish because they have made solid plans to protect Jayadratha. Every single person on that side is going to be protecting him. And you know what Arjuna said? Arjuna said, watch me. Watch how I kill him. Because I have you, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. How can I not kill him? This is Arjuna's response to Bhagavan saying, why did you take such a silly oath? Anyways, everybody was really saddened by Abhimanyu's death. And it reminds us that even though Bhagavan is on our side, on their side, and even though they're on the side of Dharma, so bring this to us, even though Bhagavan may be on our side, even though we may be on the path of Dharma, it doesn't mean that we will not have sadness in our life, that we will not have loss in our life. We have to be ready to face it, even if Bhagavan isn't on our side. You know, some people say, well, I prayed so much to Bhagavan and still this sad thing happened to me. How come? Well, just because you're a devotee of Bhagavan doesn't mean there isn't going to be sadness in your life. Anyways, now everyone goes back to their tents and they're getting ready for the next day. And Bhagavan Krishna is thinking, what do I do now? Because Arjuna is a great warrior, but I feel that this oath is too much for him to be able to handle, to accomplish. He can kill Jayadratha, but the time that he has to accomplish it is too tight, too short a time. And so now see what Krishna does. Bhagavan Krishna calls his charioteer. Bhagavan Krishna had taken a vow that he would not lift a weapon and fight in this battle. He would only be Arjuna's charioteer. And so he told his charioteer, he tells his own charioteer now, you know what, I said I'm not going to fight, but I'm ready to break my oath if it means saving Arjuna's life. If I have to, I will kill Jayadratha myself tomorrow, so Arjuna doesn't need to die. Because the world will see then how much I love Arjuna. And he says, half of me is Arjuna and half of me is Krishna. I cannot be without Arjuna. Arjuna cannot die. Nobody can come between us. And he asks his charioteer to prepare his chariot with all his weapons and everything. And he says, if I blow my conch in this specific note, he tells him a specific note, if I blow my conch like this tomorrow, you just come to me. And his charioteer looks at him and he says, how can Arjuna lose when you are there with him? But anyways, I will prepare your chariot and I will have everything ready. Right? Arjuna also cannot sleep. He's thinking about what Bhagavan Shri Krishna said, that he shouldn't have taken the oath. And as Arjuna is thinking about that, you know they say when you fall asleep, whatever you're thinking about, that stays in your mind all night. So Arjuna now has a dream where Bhagavan Shri Krishna is telling him, okay, you took this oath, that's okay, but now don't worry. Worry is a sure destroyer of success. Worry will benefit your enemies and it will weaken you. So stop letting this disease of worry trouble you. Drop this worry. In his dream, he's dreaming about it. And Arjuna says, no, but if I don't do what I promised to do, then the world will laugh at me and say I'm a coward. And so Krishna, in his dream, says, don't worry. Pray to Bhagavan Shiva and ask him for his special weapon, the Pashupata Astra. And with that, you can defeat this Jayadratha. Arjuna already has this weapon. He's just dreaming this. And now he dreams that he and Bhagavan Krishna go up the mountain to the abode of Bhagavan Shiva. And in his dream, he sees Bhagavan Shiva glowing. And he sees the offerings he had made to Bhagavan Krishna the night before at the feet of Bhagavan Shiva, because they're the same. And he says to him, you know, Bhagavan Shiva, can you give me your astra? And Bhagavan Shiva says, and he tells him where to get it. And actually, at this point, Bhagavan Shiva himself turns into a brahmachari and teaches Arjuna in his dream how to use this weapon. And Arjuna has this wonderful dream, and now he wakes up and he's ready to face the next day. That morning, as Arjuna is getting ready, now we're in the 14th day of this Mahabarata war. That morning, Yudhishthira tells Bhagavan Krishna that, you know, you're with Arjuna, he will certainly succeed. And Krishna agrees. He said, I will not let anything happen to Arjuna. I will fight if I have to, but I will make sure that nothing happens to Arjuna. And then Arjuna tells his brothers about his wonderful dream with Bhagavan Shiva. And they felt, yes, Arjuna is definitely going to accomplish what he has set out to do. Now before they go to war, there's a beautiful description in this section about how Bhagavan Shri Krishna himself takes care of the horses of Arjuna's chariot. You know there's that famous line in the bhajan, Prema ke vash Arjuna rat hankyo. That line, out of love, he is the one who takes care of the horses of Arjuna's chariot. He's a king, he's Bhagavan, but he doesn't tell his charioteer to take care of Arjuna's chariot. He doesn't tell his charioteer to take care of Arjuna's horses. He himself goes to the stables and cleans the gobar and takes care of them, removes their arrow, pets them. He personally does everything a charioteer is supposed to do, all out of love. Now, they're getting ready, and Arjuna goes to his disciple, who's also Krishna's cousin. His name is Satyaki. And he tells him, look, I'm going to go and try to kill this Jayadratha. But Drona is going to still come and try to capture our brother Yudhishthira. So you cannot leave Yudhishthira's side. You must stay with Yudhishthira and make sure he's protected from Drona. And Satyaki says, yes, don't worry, we will take care of him. So now on the other side, Jayadratha is panicking that, oh my God, today is the day Arjuna is going to come and get me. And he's so worried. And Duryodhana says, don't worry, you will be guarded by great warriors. It is impossible for Arjuna to get through this vyuha, this formation that I have set. When Arjuna's chariot appeared, it made the Kauravas shiver. Arjuna came with such fervor over there. And Jayadratha thought that Arjuna was Yamaraj himself, like his death was coming to him. So now Arjuna meets the first blockage of this formation. And it is actually impossible to break. 3 sets of things he has to go through. Well, Arjuna easily starts to destroy that army. And the description given is, it looks like he is cutting off, you know how you cut off flowers to offer to Bhagavan? It looks like he's chopping off the heads of all of these warriors to make a garland of skulls to offer to Bhagavan Shiva. So effortlessly, he's fighting everybody who's preventing him from entering. And Duryodhana's brothers, who were supposed to be guarding that first entry, they were being defeated like nothing. They were so scared that they ran away from there. Arjuna was so powerful. So in no time, Arjuna destroyed the first vyuha, the first formation, and he reached the second formation. The second formation was being protected by Dronacharya himself, Arjuna's guru. And he tells him, you're my guru, and guru is like a father, and so I'm your disciple, I'm like your son. Please give me your blessings so I can go ahead. And Dronacharya says, no, you have to fight with me. And so at this point, Arjuna has to fight with Drona. He hates the fact that he has to fight with his guru and his family. And he even forgets at this point the disgusting things that Drona had done yesterday in the murder of his son. Because Arjuna was a softie. He was very attached to, this is my guru, this is my family, and that attachment made him weak. And so, he had to fight with Drona, and as he was fighting wonderfully. But as he was fighting, Bhagavan Krishna said to him, Arjuna, your time is going. You're on a time bomb. And Arjuna looked at him and said, you're right. Now is not the time to waste fighting Drona. And he said, Krishna, you do the needful. And Bhagavan Krishna takes his chariot and he does pradakshina of Dronacharya and he goes through the second formation. And Dronacharya looks at him and he says, oh, you're running away like a coward? And Arjuna turns and says, at this point, it is more beneficial for me to not consider you as the enemy, but to consider you as my guru. And as my guru, you have to give me your blessings and I'm going to go. And like this, he rushes away before Drona can catch up to him again. So he uses wit to outwit Dronacharya. Because in life we have a limited amount of hours, is it not? 24 hours of which we sleep for like 8 of them, if 6, 8, 10, however many. People sleep different hours, right? The remaining waking hours that we have, in that time, we have to know which battles to fight and which ones to surrender to. It is impossible to fight every challenge that comes to us. So with Bhagavan's grace, we're supposed to be able to figure out and say, oh, okay, fight this one now, fight this one later, don't fight this one, surrender to this one. And so Bhagavan Krishna reminds Arjuna, you don't have time to fight this battle now. And so Arjuna does pranams, surrenders, and goes. And now he has to make up for lost time because the amount of distance that he has to cover to reach Jayadratha is just impossible. And now he's going deeper and deeper into the vyuha, into the formation, and he's fighting more and more and more ferociously. Now, Duryodhana goes to this teacher of his and he says, look, Arjuna has entered the second vyuha. You weren't able to stop him. You promised he wouldn't be able to do it. You better make arrangements to protect Jayadratha. I thought you could defeat him, and you said no one can get past you, but look how he got past you. Everything is, I'm losing because you favor the Pandavas. And he comes and he's taunting Drona, who is literally doing his very best to please Duryodhana. And Duryodhana Dronacharya says, no, Arjuna is really powerful. We've all been telling you he's so powerful. His horses are divine, his charioteer is Bhagavan Krishna. He is too quick and I am too old. And I have another responsibility right now, which is to capture Yudhishthira. So why don't you go and fight with Arjuna? Why don't you go and protect Jayadratha? And Duryodhana says, Duryodhana just talks big, but he's a coward. He says, you couldn't protect him, you couldn't fight him, you think I can fight him? Now you're sending me to fight this Arjuna which you couldn't fight? And Dronacharya says, no, you can go. And he uses an astra and he gives Duryodhana an impenetrable armor by which Duryodhana cannot be harmed, right? And so now Duryodhana feels like he's invincible. When a certain child gets a new like outfit, they feel like they're the boss, and then they go marching into some place, or I don't know, everyone has a small marble and then they get a big marble and all of a sudden they feel, yeah, I'm the boss now, I can go and fight everybody in marble games, and you know what I'm talking about, right? So now Duryodhana feels like, yes, I can go fight now. And so Duryodhana is sent to fight with Arjuna, and Dronacharya goes to try to capture Yudhishthira. And so this is what happens. Now the sun starts to set. The days are short, and the sun is setting. It's starting to go towards the west, and Arjuna is fighting against time. And now suddenly, Arjuna's horses become very, very tired. His horses are divine, so they cannot actually be killed, but they have been struck with arrows and they have run such a far distance. And while Arjuna is fighting, he tells Bhagavan Krishna, my horses are tired, they need rest, what should we do? And Bhagavan Krishna says, yes, it is true, your horses do need rest. And so Arjuna says, you know what, I am going to get off the chariot and I'm going to fight on foot, and you take care of the horses for a little while and give them some rest. And so Arjuna gets down and he starts to fight on foot. And when the Kauravas see him get down, they think, well, now we can defeat Arjuna easily. But they don't realize that Arjuna on foot is more dangerous than Arjuna in the chariot. And so he starts to fight. And Bhagavan Krishna comes and tells Arjuna, the horses are very thirsty and there's no water here. And Arjuna says, yes, there is water. And he takes an arrow and he invokes an astra and he shoots it, and a beautiful lake with sweet water comes there right in the middle of the battlefield. And Bhagavan Shri Krishna takes these horses and he makes them drink water at the lake that Arjuna has manifested over here. And at this point, Bhagavan Shri Krishna is taking out the arrows from the horses, he's stroking them, he's making sure that they feel better, and everybody wants to stop fighting. And everybody wants to look at how Bhagavan Krishna is spending time with these horses. It was a scene like back in Gokul, where Bhagavan Krishna would take care of the cows and he was with the gopis, like that kind of mesmerizing, beautiful scene it was. And everyone just wanted to watch Krishna take care of these horses. Now, after the horses got some rest, Bhagavan Krishna put them back on the chariot, and Arjuna got back on his chariot, and again they set off. And now he's plowing through the army, and he has almost reached Jayadratha. He was so close. And at this point, Duryodhana comes. And Arjuna and Krishna are thinking, Duryodhana has come to challenge Arjuna? Really? Duryodhana, who never comes in front of Arjuna? And Duryodhana says, I challenge you. And so now Arjuna starts to fight. And however strong an arrow he sends, it does nothing to Duryodhana. And suddenly, Duryodhana's arrows are hurting Arjuna. They're even hurting Bhagavan Krishna. And Arjuna says, no. The only way he's able to do this is because he must have gotten that protection, that armor from Dronacharya. And he thinks and he says, you know what? I know how to defeat him. That armor protected every part of the body, but for the fingers to have dexterity to use the arrows and shoot, the armor did not cover the fingertips. And so Arjuna now very skillfully takes his arrows, and before Duryodhana knows what hit him, he sends arrows into every single fingertip of Duryodhana. And Duryodhana is in so much pain, excruciating pain, and he flees from there and he runs away. And Arjuna and Bhagavan Krishna keep rushing towards Jayadratha because the sun is setting so fast. You know, once the sun starts to set, it's like you look behind and you look forward and then it's gone. Like so fast, suddenly it sets, right? And so Krishna says to Arjuna, you know, let us cheer ourselves up a little bit. Let us get some motivation. Let you twang your Gandiva bow and I will blow my conch and we'll get some energy again. And so they do that. And then they kept fighting. Now on the other side, Yudhishthira was very worried. Drona had come and fought with Yudhishthira, and he was Yudhishthira had almost been captured by Drona, but Satyaki, who Arjuna put in charge, came to protect him. And Drona is thinking, how does this Yudhishthira keep getting away from me? But now Yudhishthira hears the sound of Krishna's conch. And when they had Arjuna had twanged his Gandiva bow and Krishna had blown his conch, Krishna blew his conch so loud that Arjuna's bow could not be heard. And he knew Yudhishthira would hear his conch. And he knew Yudhishthira would say, but I can't hear Arjuna's bow. And that was because Krishna knew that Arjuna needed help to fight the rest of the army with the time that he had. So he wanted Yudhishthira to send some more help for Arjuna. And so Yudhishthira hears Bhagavan Shri Krishna's conch. But Krishna did not want Arjuna to know that he was worried. He didn't want his morale to be affected. And so Yudhishthira hears that and he tells Satyaki, who's protecting him, you must go. You must go to Bhagavan Krishna, to Arjuna. He needs help. I didn't hear his bow. I'm really worried. Please go. And Satyaki is finally convinced, and he leaves Bhima, who is Yudhishthira's second brother, in charge. He says, you please make sure that Yudhishthira is taken care of. And Bhima says, no problem, you go. And so Satyaki goes, and he has to break the same formations. And so he gets through Duryodhana's brothers easily. He reaches Drona, and when he reaches Drona, he does the same thing that Arjuna did. He does Pradakshina and he tries to go. But Drona comes after him. And effortlessly he defeats Drona. Effortlessly. And then he goes forward. And finally, he reaches where Arjuna is. And on this day, it is described that he fights so formidably that he is even greater than Arjuna on this day. So now, nothing is happening. Yudhishthira is still worried. He hasn't heard anything from Satyaki. And so he says, Bhima, you please also go. Go and see what is going on. Because I think Arjuna needs help. What if Arjuna is not okay? And so Bhima tells Yudhishthira, nothing can happen to Arjuna, but if you want, I will go. No problem. And so he leaves Drishtadyumna, another warrior, in charge of Yudhishthira. They never forget their duty of taking care of him. And he now goes. And Yudhishthira says, when you see Arjuna and Satyaki, if they are okay, you give your war cry so I will know everything is okay. And so now Bhima goes. And Bhima meets the brothers of Duryodhana. And Bhima has sworn, he has taken an oath, that he is going to kill every single one of the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra. 100 sons Dhritarashtra said, and he said, I'm going to kill every single one of them. And so when he sees Duryodhana's brothers, that's like tonic for him. What? He crushes them like ants, like nothing. And he reaches Drona. And Dronacharya says, you cannot get past me. And Bhima laughs. And he says, you know, Arjuna asked you for permission to go through you, not because he's scared of you, but because he still considers you his guru and he respects you. I have lost all respect for you because a guru is someone you're supposed to look up to. You have done such despicable things. Look at what you're doing for Duryodhana. And not only that, you've seen what the game of dice did. And still you want to capture Yudhishthira and take him to Duryodhana for another game of dice? No, no, no. You have made yourself the enemy. I don't have any respect for you. I am not afraid to fight with you. Bhima is blunt. He doesn't care nothing. He tells things as they are. And he says, I am not Arjuna. I am not attached like Arjuna. And he fights with Drona and he defeats him in 1 second. He crushes his chariot and Drona has to jump out to save his life. And Bhima continues. Finally, he meets Satyaki and Arjuna and he lets out his war cry. And Yudhishthira knows, okay, they are okay. At this point now, Bhima helps to fight the warriors that are preventing Arjuna from reaching Jayadratha. Remember, the goal is Arjuna has to kill Jayadratha before sunset. It is almost sunset. Every strong warrior is coming between Arjuna and Jayadratha. At this point, Karna comes. Karna is Duryodhana's best friend. He also happens to be the brother of the Pandavas. But he just found that out and none of the Pandavas know. And his mother had made him promise, he promised his mother that he would not kill any of his brothers, except when he fights Arjuna, one of them will survive. Either Karna will die or Arjuna will die between the two of them. That was the promise he had made to his mother. So now Bhima starts to fight Karna. And as he's fighting Karna, Bhima thinks, well, Karna is not such a good warrior. He's not powerful like people say. But Karna was fighting softly because he was remembering that this is my brother. And the description there is so touching. The description is that Karna wanted to jump out of his chariot and run to Bhima and embrace him and say, I love you, my brother. Let us go to Yudhishthira. Let us not fight. But he had no choice. He had chosen he had pledged his allegiance to Duryodhana, and so he had to fight. But these thoughts made him a softie, and so he couldn't fight with Bhima. Bhima misunderstood that and thought he wasn't a good fighter. Anyways, finally, Karna almost defeats Bhima, but he lets him go. He insults him and he lets him go because he had vowed that he wouldn't kill him. Now, Duryodhana is getting more and more and more worried, and again he goes and he insults Dronacharya. Look, you're not doing anything. And Drona gets upset and he says, this is not a game of dice. This is the battlefield. You have been trained on the battlefield. Now go and fight him. It is up to you. I'm done trying. And so now, Duryodhana goes, no one is able to come between Arjuna and this Jayadratha. Means Arjuna is getting closer and closer and closer. And finally, after so much drama and so many people trying to get in between, Arjuna finally reaches in front of Jayadratha. He can see him now. And because he is so close, now Jayadratha realizes his death is so close to him, and he starts to fight strongly. You know someone who's playing cricket, when they're playing a cricket match, and that batsman, he sees that the game is almost over, and he has so many balls left or whatever, he starts to hit the ball like anything and it gets 6s and 4s, and because he doesn't mind what happens after this. So Jayadratha fights so bravely now. And Bhagavan Krishna realizes it is not possible for Arjuna to kill Jayadratha before the sun sets. And he says to Arjuna, I'm going to have to use my power and do something. Don't worry, just listen to me and obey me implicitly and immediately. This is what Krishna says to Arjuna. He says, when I say shoot, you shoot. Okay. So now see what Bhagavan Krishna does. He takes his chakra, his Sudarshan chakra, and he sends it to cover the sun. And it looks like the sun has suddenly set. And Jayadratha looks up in jubilation that the sun has set, and now Arjuna cannot kill him, and now Arjuna is going to kill himself, and he forgets to be alert. And at that moment, Bhagavan Shri Krishna removes his chakra and he says, Arjuna, now. And Arjuna takes his arrow and he shoots Jayadratha, who is distracted looking at the sun. And he says, don't let his head fall. Keep shooting arrow after arrow, and he makes Arjuna send it in the direction of where Jayadratha's father is. And he said, let this head of Jayadratha fall in his father's lap. I will tell you about it later. And he does that. And it falls in Jayadratha's father's lap, and Jayadratha's father shatters into 1,000 pieces. And then he's like, let's just continue. He says, pay attention now, I'll tell you later. So now Jayadratha is dead. And finally, a few minutes later, the sun sets. The Kauravas are so distraught. They cannot believe that they couldn't avert the tragedy of Jayadratha's death. They were so sure that they would win. And Duryodhana is feeling so bad that he promised his brother-in-law that he wouldn't let him die. But look, he died. Now, this story is actually a very important lesson for us in time management. First thing that happened is Arjuna took on more than he could handle in the time that he had. Bhagavan Shri Krishna also told him, this oath you have taken, you cannot do it in the time that you have. It is very difficult. Then the odds were against Arjuna in every way. Look how much he had to go through. Look how far he had to go. His horses even got tired for the first time ever, right? The number of things that prevented him from actually accomplishing his goal, you count it, the odds were against him. But he had Krishna and he had Dharma. And so you see the number of things that happened that ended up allowing him to defeat this Jayadratha. Bhagavan Krishna kept helping him. He said, Arjuna, don't waste time fighting with Drona. First, how? Do pradakshina and go. Then, when Arjuna's horses were tired, he took care of them. Then Arjuna needed help. He didn't even tell Arjuna, you need help, and he called for help without Arjuna's morale going down. Then he kept saying, don't worry with this one. When Karna is trying to come and fight, he diverts him. On and on and on, Bhagavan Krishna kept steering Arjuna in that direction. And finally, he worked his magic so that the sun would set, so Arjuna could defeat this Jayadratha. This shows how, sometimes something might look impossible. When something comes to our life, it might seem absolutely impossible for us to achieve. But when we are on the side of Dharma, and if we have faith in Bhagavan, nothing can stop us from accomplishing the goodness that is supposed to be achieved through us. The universe conspires in our favor for the benefit of posterity if we are on the side of Dharma. Now someone might say, but this is not fair. Bhagavan Shri Krishna cheated, and that is how Arjuna won. People say, I've heard this many times. Well, Bhagavan Shri Krishna cheated for Arjuna to win. But you tell me, if you eat healthy food and you exercise regularly and your body is healthy, is it cheating that your body is able to fight diseases? Can you call it cheating? No. The law is, if you eat healthy and you take care of your body will be able to fight what is coming to it. Can you say it is not fair that people who go to the moon can fly? Means they're not held onto the ground. You can't say that because the law is that there's no gravity there. So you cannot say it's not fair. Can you say it is not fair that the fire is not keeping me warm when it is very cold? Or can you say it is not fair that I'm feeling so hot and the AC is not cooling me if you're not standing in the room with the AC and you're standing outside with the sun? Well, you chose to stand there, the room with the AC is open, come inside. Now in the same way, if you choose the side of Dharma, the law of the universe is Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha. Dharma protects the one who protects Dharma. It is not unfair for dharma to protect the one that is protecting dharma. Arjuna is protecting dharma, so it is not unfair for dharma to protect Arjuna. And the other thing is, this law of dharma, that dharma will protect you, is available to anybody. It is not that, well, Bhagavan will only help Arjuna. He will help anybody who is on the side of dharma. If we are on the side of dharma, Bhagavan will help us the exact same way he helped Arjuna. But we don't have full faith in the law of dharma, unfortunately. And that is the problem, right? Well, now Bhagavan Krishna goes and he hugs Arjuna, and he's so happy that Arjuna was saved. And Duryodhana is so humiliated, and Bhishma is screaming with joy, and they hear the conch and the Gandiva, and Yudhishthira knew that Jayadratha had been killed. And Arjuna now says to Bhagavan Krishna, it is only because of you that I was able to defeat Jayadratha. He didn't know all the things Krishna had done, but he knew it was Bhagavan's power because of which he was able to achieve the unachievable. On their way back to Yudhishthira, Bhagavan Krishna tells Arjuna why he told him to send the head of Jayadratha to his father. He said that he had a boon that whoever drops his head, that person will shatter into 1,000 pieces. And so he said, put it in the lap of his father. And so when the head reached his father's lap, he was startled and he dropped it. And so he also, his wicked father, 2 birds, 1 stone, like they say. His wicked father was also killed at the same time. Now Yudhishthira tells Bhagavan Krishna, I know it is only because of you that Arjuna was able to defeat Jayadratha today. And Krishna says to Yudhishthira, no, it was not because of me. It was because of the anger in your eyes yesterday. When a good person is angry, that is more powerful than anything on this earth. And Arjuna succeeded this inhuman, impossible task because of your goodness. This is what he says to Yudhishthira. Now, on the other side, for the first time, Duryodhana realized that we cannot defeat Arjuna. It finally dawned on him, and he was absolutely distraught. And he wanted solace, and he wanted comfort. And he went to Drona for comfort. And Drona couldn't bear to see tears in Duryodhana's eyes. And he says, you know, Arjuna is invincible, and we are not ready to face the truth. But I am going to do my best to please you. In fact, I promise you, I am not going to remove my armor until we have defeated them or until I am killed. Right? I will die, but I will not stop fighting them. And so he says, I will not allow anybody to sleep tonight. The rule in the battlefield was that when the sun sets, everybody stops fighting and goes back to their camps. This was the rule of the battle, of the war. Duryodhana had lost all sense of dharma by this point in his desire to please Yudhishthira. And so he said, we are going to fight at night also. And now they set off to the battlefield. At this point, Duryodhana is telling Karna, as they're going, look how Dronacharya let the Pandavas get past him. It is because Arjuna is his favorite. And he's putting Drona down. And Karna says, no, it is not possible for anybody to defeat Arjuna. Don't blame Drona. Everybody fought so well, but what can we do? Fate is such that Arjuna cannot be defeated, right? Fate is more powerful than our valor. We can just do our best. And what will happen? We will win or lose. And so now the 2 armies come face to face to fight in the dark. It is so dark that, you know, when you go, I mean, in the city when it is dark, it is not dark. But when you go to a remote village, then you see what night darkness looks like. Pitch dark it was. And the soldiers were fighting, blind, like it was like blind armies fighting against each other because nobody could see anything, and like they were killing each other in their own team also. And at this time, Ghatotkacha, who is Bhima's son, he's a Rakshasa. Bhima had a son who was half Rakshasa, right? And he said, this Ghatotkacha was called to come and help them to fight. And Ghatotkacha came with his whole Rakshasa friend gang. And Rakshas's power increases at night. This is one of the things that happens, right? And so Ghatot ends up being the hero tonight. Anyways, big huge fight is going on, and the Pandavas are causing destruction to the Kaurava army. And Duryodhana says to Karna, I cannot bear to see the destruction that is happening. You please go and kill Arjuna right now. And Karna says, yes, I'm going to go and I'm going to destroy Arjuna, I'm going to kill him. And Kripacharya, another teacher on the Kaurava side, he says to Karna, you keep saying you're going to defeat Arjuna, you're going to defeat Arjuna. Till today, you've only been words. You're not a man of action, you just know how to talk. And he says, I'm going to cut off your tongue. And they start to fight. And Duryodhana says, please, please, now is not the time for personal grudges. We have a war to fight. And so out of love for Duryodhana, they put their differences away, and they get ready to go and fight. As now it's midnight. They're fighting at midnight, having broken the rule of not fighting while the sun has set. And then Ghatot starts to cause havoc in the army. Ghatot, who's Bhima's son, starts to destroy the army like nothing. He is so ferocious, it feels like before the sun rises, he's going to destroy the entire Kaurava army. And so now the Kauravas get worried, and Duryodhana says to Karna, you have to go and stop this Ghatot from causing destruction. He's just unstoppable. If we don't stop him, we're going to lose the war tonight itself. And now Karna was really sad, because Karna had one weapon. It was a Shakti. It was a weapon given by Indra. And he had gotten this weapon with the clause that whichever person he sends it to, whoever he uses this weapon against, that person is guaranteed to die, 100%. But it can only be used once. And he had gotten this Shakti, and he was saving it for when he would face Arjuna. He was saving this Shakti for Arjuna. And now he was in a position where he had no choice but to send this Shakti to defeat Ghatot. And so he knows the moment he uses this Shakti to kill Ghatot, Duryodhana has lost, because there's no chance that he can defeat Arjuna after this. And so with a heavy heart, he now goes to fight Ghatot. And Ghatot fights so brilliantly. But now Karna sends this Shakti, and it hits Ghatot, and Ghatot falls. And as Ghatot is falling, he realizes he's going to die. And even in the moment of his death, he decides that he's going to do his seva. And with his powers, he becomes as big as possible, and he falls on an entire Akshauhini of the army. An entire section of the army he destroys just by falling and dying. And so this Ghatot, he was the favorite nephew of the Pandavas. Actually, he was so sweet. At one point during this night battle, he goes and he kills one of Duryodhana's Rakshasa friends, and he takes his head off, and he sweetly smiles, and he walks up to Duryodhana's chariot, and he hands it to Duryodhana like a present. This Ghatot, when you think of him, he is such a sweet, cute boy, but everyone was very, very pained by his death. War is terrible on both sides. Very, very pained on both sides. And a strange thing happened at this time. Bhagavan Krishna suddenly started to jump with joy. And everyone said, well, we are all so depressed that Ghatot is dead, and you're jumping with joy, Bhagavan Krishna, what is wrong? And Krishna said, you know, this Shakti that Karna had was giving me sleepless nights. Actually, Karna was the most powerful warrior, more powerful than you, Arjuna. And if he had faced you with the Shakti, there's no way you all could have won this battle. Guaranteed they would have won. And so Krishna said, he revealed that he had avoided Arjuna facing Karna all these days, so Karna couldn't use the Shakti on him. And every time Arjuna came in front of Karna, Bhagavan Krishna would delude Karna to forget that he had this Shakti. And Krishna says, now that this Shakti is gone, I feel like a huge burden lifted off of me. I'm sad Ghatotkacha had to go, but his time had come. And at least in his going, the Shakti has also gone. And so, with great sorrow now, Yudhishthira, he was Yudhishthira's favorite. Yudhishthira loved him the most. And so Yudhishthira was so down in despair, and he was about to go and he was about to fight with Karna himself. And at that time, Veda Vyasaji comes and stops him and explains to him that what happened was meant to happen, and he should calm his mind and not go and face Karna. Karna could kill him. Now, everybody on this battlefield is exhausted. They have been fighting since morning. The night time is time to rest. But they're not being allowed to rest. And so finally, Arjuna develops so much compassion, and he screams out loud in the middle of this dark battlefield. The soldiers eventually were given torches to hold while this battle was going on. And Arjuna said, everybody is tired. Our soldiers, our warriors are exhausted. If you are okay with it, why don't we just take a little bit of rest? Right here on the battlefield, we can just go to sleep and get some rest for a bit. And then, if you want, we can start to fight again when the moon comes out and it's a bit more bright. And everybody was exhausted, and both sides had so much gratitude for Arjuna's compassion, and in less than a minute, the entire battlefield was silent. Everybody had fallen asleep. When the moon came out, and it was bright up in the sky, slowly everyone started to get up and get ready again to fight. And the fighting started. Midnight fighting going on. And as the fighting is going on, the sun starts to rise. When the sun rises, everyone stops fighting and they greet Surya Bhagavan, and then they continue their fight. Now, the fighting is so terrible. At this point, Drona has just lost all sense of righteousness. He is destroying the army at such an alarming rate that Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, if he's allowed to continue fighting, that's it. This war is going to end today. He's going to kill every single warrior on the Pandava side. In fact, Drona had even started to use divine weapons against innocent people, and that was not allowed. A rule of the war was you're not allowed to use divine weapons against someone who is helpless and doesn't know how to return divine weapons back. But he was killing people in the thousands. Thousands at a time. He was sending astras and he was killing people in the thousands. And this is the 15th day of the battle. It was the most terrible battle yet. And Bhagavan Shri Krishna said that if he continues to wreak havoc like this thing is going to finish. And he reminds the Pandavas that Drona had given him their blessings, given them his blessings, and said, the only way to defeat me is if I put down my weapons. And so Bhagavan Shri Krishna proposes, and he says, if Drona finds out that his son Ashwathama is dead, he will put down his weapons. And he tells Yudhishthira that Drona is not going to believe anybody, because Ashwathama is Chiranjeevi, he's supposed to live forever. So if he hears that his son is dead, he's not going to believe anybody except Yudhishthira. Because Yudhishthira is so noble, he had never told a lie in his whole entire life. And so Bhima goes and kills an elephant called Ashwathama, and loudly he says, Ashwathama is dead. Loudly he says that. And Drona hears that and he's taken aback, but he doesn't believe that his son is dead, so he continues to fight. At this point, the rishis from heaven come, from Swarga come, including his father Bharadwaj Muni, and they tell Drona, stop, you're a Brahmana, you're not a Kshatriya. You have taken on this dharma that doesn't belong to you. You are fighting unrighteously. You have lost all sense of dharma. Stop now. Give up. Put it down. Sit. Leave the battlefield. And he still didn't listen to them. He kept fighting. Then something washed over him, and again he heard that his son is dead. And at this point he asked Yudhishthira, Yudhishthira, is it true that Ashwathama is dead? And Yudhishthira said, yes, Ashwathama is dead. And his second sentence was, Ashwathama the elephant is dead. But by the time he said Ashwathama is dead, Bhagavan Krishna blew his conch so loud that Drona could not hear the second part of that sentence. And he hears from Yudhishthira that his son is dead. You know, at this point, he still does not put down his weapons. He still continues to fight. And after fighting for a little bit more, a wave of his life flashes in front of him. And he realizes all the negative things he has done and how he has failed Dharma. And at that point he becomes disgusted and he sits down and he gives up fighting. And right when he sits down, Drishtadyumna, who is a divine warrior who was born to kill Drona, he picks up his sword and he runs to now chop off Drona's head. And Arjuna is just so attached. He cannot look beyond the fact that this is my guru. And he screams, don't do that, to Drishtadyumna. But Arjuna is too far, and Drishtadyumna, before he could say it, Drishtadyumna cuts off Dronacharya's head. And with this, Dronacharya finally falls. This is the end of Dronacharya. Now, a big discussion happens about whether what was done was dharmic or not. Arjuna is very angry that Dronacharya was killed. He said he had given up fighting and he had no weapons. When someone has no weapons, you're not supposed to attack them. That is adharma. He tells Drishtadyumna, you did adharma. And now a big fight starts in the Pandava camp. He even says to Yudhishthira that, I can't believe that you've gone and you've told a lie. And because of you doing adharma like this, his son Ashwathama is going to come and seek revenge on all of us, and it is all your fault. Like this he speaks to the noble Yudhishthira. He says to Yudhishthira, for the sake of ruling the kingdom, you told a lie? You gave up your dharma for the sake of a kingdom? And like this. And Bhima gets so angry. And he reminds him of the number of times that Yudhishthira stayed quiet in the name of dharma. And he says, you have the audacity to praise Drona and insult Yudhishthira after everything that has happened? And he says, listen, it was Bhagavan Krishna who told Yudhishthira to tell that lie. So it is not Yudhishthira's fault. In Krishna's eyes, Yudhishthira has not done papa. He has not done adharma. And so a big quarrel happens and a big discussion is going on, and it shows that actually dharma is a very difficult thing to decipher. It is a very difficult thing to figure out what is dharma and what is not dharma. Now, how to understand this lie that was told? You know, the reason that the Kauravas were defeated, even though they were so powerful, was because their individual vows were more important to them than their dharma. Yudhishthira said, look, I told one lie because Bhagavan Krishna had told me that this lie is what is required to save the lives of everybody else. And so, for the greater good, I was ready to sacrifice and tell the lie, even though I had promised not to tell a lie. And the other thing that he said was, he said, Krishna told me to say that. You might think Drona is your guru. He's not my guru anymore. I consider Krishna to be my guru. And if my guru told me that this is what the greater good is, I'm going to listen to my guru. Correct reasoning or not? Now, Yudhishthira had told that one lie. It is said that until this day, Yudhishthira's chariot was 4 inches off the ground because of how noble he was. He had never told a single lie. And when he told this lie, his chariot came and touched the ground. But Yudhishthira sacrificed his nobility. Not sacrificed, he sacrificed his vow not to tell a lie. With pain, he did it. Why? Because his understanding that this lie it is more important for me to tell a lie than for me to protect myself and let innocent people die. So he chose dharma over his personal pain. You see the difference between goodness, people on the good side and people on the wicked side? Anyways, like this discussion happened. But it shows us that dharma is not an easy thing to decipher. Now, Ashwatthama was really angry. This is Dronacharya's son. And he was a Brahmana, but he was given weapons by his father that he should not have been given. And at this point, he pulls out an astra, a weapon, a divine weapon called the Narayana Astra. And he sends this astra to the entire Pandava army. And this weapon is such that if you fight with it, there is no way that you can win. The weapon is going to come and it is going to attack you and it is going to destroy you. And Bhagavan Krishna told everybody, he said the way to defeat this weapon is instead of fighting with it, you have to surrender. If you fight, it will fight back and it will defeat you. If you surrender, it will pass over you. And so everybody lays down their weapons and surrenders to this great weapon. Except Bhima. Bhima's like, I am not surrendering to this Ashwatthama. And he refuses to surrender, and all the arrows go on Bhishma. And with difficulty now, Arjuna and Krishna pull him down and take his weapons away and keep him down. And then this astra also passes. This Narayana Astra is like all the unexpected situations that come into our life. You know, sometimes unexpected situations come and you don't know how to handle them. At that time, when we surrender to them, we are able to know how to deal with them. When a situation comes and our mind is agitated and disturbed and worried about how to face it, we're not able to give our full attention to think and figure out the right course of action. If we surrender to the situation that has come, unexpectedly, no problem. If we surrender to the situation that has come, then what happens is our mind becomes calm, our mind becomes available to think about the right course of action. On the battlefield, Bhagavan Krishna told them how to deal with it. But when we calm our mind, Bhagavan Krishna in our mind will also guide us on how it is that we can face the dilemmas and the situations that are in front of us. When we are calm, we will know how to face it. And thus ends the next chapter in the Mahabharata called Drona Parva, the section where Drona was the leader of the army of the Kauravas. Now, everybody on the Kaurava side is distraught because Drona is another person who just could not be defeated. Now they're thinking, who is going to be the next commander-in-chief of our army? Because the war is not yet over. 15th day is over, but the war is not yet over. And so Ashwatthama tells Duryodhana, I think that it will be good for Karna to be your commander-in-chief. And so Karna is approached and Duryodhana says, for the first time, I'm leaving my army in the hands of a person who also hates the Pandavas as much as I hate them. He doesn't know that actually now, Karna loves the Pandavas more than Duryodhana will ever know. And he is helpless in front of them. But Karna says, I will destroy Arjuna tomorrow, and I will lay the whole world at your feet. I am eager to kill Arjuna, and I will certainly kill him. Karna doesn't also realize that he cannot defeat Arjuna. Something goes on in his head, and he keeps forgetting the fact that Arjuna cannot be defeated. So now on this 16th day, the armies have dwindled to a very small number. And now you see Dronacharya's unrighteous fighting pitted against Karna's righteous leading of the army. On this day, Karna faced, by the end of this day, Karna had faced every single one of his brothers. He faced Yudhishthira, he faced Bhima, he faced Nakula, he faced Sahadev. And each time he defeated them, each time he had a chance to kill them, each time he let them go, remembering his promise to his mother. 4 Pandavas were saved because of his promise to his mother. Now it has come time for him to come face to face with Arjuna. And so tomorrow we are going to see Karna Parva. Karna is the leader of this army, and Karna has to face Arjuna, and only one of them is going to survive. So that we will see in Read and Hoop tomorrow. Tomorrow we are in, hold on, let me check the name of the mandir. Close by where tomorrow. Lakshmi Narayan Mandir in Read and Hoop. If you would like to see how the fight between Arjuna and Krishna and Karna goes down, you please feel free to come. If you can't come in person, it will be streamed online or put on YouTube after. You can take a look on the Chinmay Mission Guyana channel. Okay, I'll share a couple of announcements and then we will do Aarti. Once again, a very special thank you to everyone in this mandir, to the execs, to Panditji for hosting this evening and for letting us come and have this 12th night of Yajna over here. Omkar, who's part of the Pandit course that we are doing, I believe he's the one who brought the suggestion of doing this satsang over here tonight. Right? Okay. Chinmay Mission is a teaching organization. What we do is teach. We teach all the Shastras in Hinduism. We teach Bhagavad Gita, not just to chant, but we teach the meaning of it too. Same with Ramayana, same with Bhagavatam, Mahabarata, like that. If anyone is interested in learning Sanatana Dharma, learning Hinduism, we have classes across the country. We also have them online. If you're interested, please feel free to join. I'll be happy to provide you more information. These classes are for all ages. Not that all ages are in one class, but there are age-appropriate classes for different developmental ages. So younger children have their own class, and older children have their own classes, and parents have their own classes, seniors have their own classes, young professionals have their own classes, like that, based on the stage of life, interest, and way of thinking of the group. Accordingly, the Shastra is taught to be relevant to them at that time in their life. This is what we do in Chinmay Mission, and anyone is invited to join for the classes that we run. Okay, we will be starting to teach Bhagavad Gita chanting, chapter 12, to those who are interested in becoming teachers to teach chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita. So from October to about November, for about 3 months, we will teach you to chant chapter 12, 20 simple, sweet verses of Bhagavad Gita, and half an hour 2 times a week online. And then if you pass 100%, that's the pass mark, 100% pass, then from January to about March, April, we invite you to be a teacher to teach other people this chapter 12 towards our Bhagavad Gita chanting competition. It is a competition that we will be having nationally, where everyone will compete with their own selves to do their best. And so, if you have the time and you're able to, please speak to me and I'll give you more details. It will be so wonderful if someone from this mandir joins, and then you can teach people in the mandir itself also, right? And then everyone will learn to chant it. When we learn to chant Gita and it becomes ours, then the Gita reveals her secrets to us. Okay? Right. Outside, you will find some books. Not outside, right here. You'll find some books for sale. We have countless publications on all different topics for all ages. We just brought some. Life and Day the Indian Way. What is the Bharatiya vision of how to live our days? Frequently asked questions in Hinduism. Vision of the Bhagavad Gita. This is the simplest, clearest vision of this wonderful, deep text that you will ever read. It is so wonderful and so simple to read. Then we have kids' books. We have books where the stories from the Puranas and Itihasas are taken and made into picture format for kids. And we also have storybooks which have multiple stories that you can tell one a week in Monday, or you can tell one a night. Every night you can read to the children like that. So like that, a whole set of books. Please do come and check them out. Okay, we'll do Aarti now. Yeah, we'll do Bhagavad Gita Aarti. You can all stand for Aarti. भगवान् विष्णु मङ्गलं गरुडध्वजः मङ्गलं पुण्डरीकाक्षं मङ्गलायतनो हरिः त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। श्री कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। हर हर नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम।